Hello. I get a lot of questions about these sleighs. So I'm going to start putting one together today. I'll take a few clips as I go, a few pointers and this and that. Overall, this design on this sheet that you can see has been well used. There's going to be a lot of new ideas and experiments, so it's not something I would suggest you just run out and duplicate. You see I got some lines drawn and some notes made and more lines drawn up there. So I'm using what I have left from something that just didn't work out. The spacing was all wrong. It was an experiment. It's just no good. So between some of these holes, I only have 19 1/4 to work with. So I think I'm going to cut it to 18 1/2 actually. And I'm going to stand up some cans and do some different stuff. So see how it works out in the next few hours. There's a primitive setup, but it works. Piece of tubing, some clamps. You got a hole drilled into the table there to clamp that there. I'll take the skill saw now. I call it a skill saw, but you know what I mean. And go along the edge, rip that much. I just slide it back in and pop that tube off and finish here and up and follow my inside red line because it needs to match up with the other side. And snip it off. Kind of got this all knocked up now. Oil bottle. It's a bag we take with stuff when we're at camp. Extension cords, trouble light. Use travel to a drill and some drill bits and a few things like that, just because you never know. Some screws, hammer, handful of nails. A duffel bag, but one of those cans will fit where the duffel bag goes. So if you want to reconfigure differently, you can do that. Just a note, when you're making all these marks and drawing on stuff with permanent marker and you make a mistake, isopropyl alcohol, a little bit of rag, it wipes off perfect, and you can mark right over it because it dries fast. So this is where it gets experimental. Standing up cans sideways on a narrower sleigh, I don't know if it's going to work. It might be tippy, it might be the best thing I've ever done, but these sections for these cans will be able to carry one of those cans if it doesn't all work out. I have a little bit of extra room there, but it won't be the end of the world. So it's not a complete waste. Tent, I'll carry the tent. Another person in the group carry the stove. Not that I'm planning on camping, but it's just a safety feature, a safety option on the country. 2 more cans, and I'm thinking I may make some sort of a rack back here to take these. I haven't done that before, but that would, 2 of those would give me the equivalent of one of those flat cans. And it seems like everyone is traveling with 6 cans, so then I would be equivalent to the rest in the group. So it's kind of mocked up. I'll get the runners on now. I'll start at the front and figure it out where I'm going to put my 45 on the back of the runner, get those going. I'll probably finish it to here and see how much time I have before I need to go somewhere with it. And if I have time to experiment with this or just let it go and deal with it later. So we're moving right along here. Just a few notes. This last bolt in your tow bar will break if your runner doesn't come up far enough past it and get another good bolt. So minimum of 4 inches from this bolt to the front of the runner has to be 5/16. Do not use quarter. And you see I use these here tie downs. They're just really easy. With tax and everything, they work out to be $3.30 each from Canadian Tire, and you can pick them off the shelf, no fab required. You'll see I used 1 through bolt right down through the runner, and the other one is a bolt into a riv nut. And the reason I do that is if it so happens that you do for some reason still break this bolt, whatever bag you have on with a bungee still stays there. You don't lose your tie down, you don't lose your bungee, you don't lose your bag, you just lose the bolt. 45 down front, nice transition. Another thing to look is this is going to be the center runner. So what I do is I put a center line on the center runner, and then wherever there's a crossbar, I'll drill the center holes, and I can just lay this in under, and whenever I'm ready to put this in place, drill through the red line, and I know it's not going to be like a snake going down through the sleigh. Another point of interest is these T-nuts do not work. They're junk. I've used way too many of them and they always break, and had to find another solution. This is ugly. It works. Piece of 1.5 flat bar, cut 1.5 long, 1/8 thick, 5/16 nut welded to it. Used a router, so I'll take like a hole like that and I'll draw a square, do a plunge with the router, drop my square out, drop this down, and it won't be able to turn, and it doesn't mess up the bottom of your bag or whatever you're putting there. I make these little spacers for tie downs and stuff. So it's 3/4 UHMW with a hole. Got this little jig made, playing the drawer press vise. You can see it there. I don't know if I can do it with one hand, but I just use the drawer press like an arbor press and push it in there so it's square. Tighten it in, and that's it. Drill the hole. Okay, I got 2 days in this so far. It's 2 days, you know, after running to the store and eating with your family and all that stuff, so it's not 2 full 16-hour days. Show you a couple things left to do. Some things I'm not pleased with, I'm going to change. Some things that I am pleased with. Probably do another video later when it's all done. So up front, I don't have my attachment installed here for towing off the pintle. So I'll show you that. I got an idea here for another handle. The holes are already there. I got the material, some of it's cut and welded, so that's not done. I'm packing as I go. I've never done that before, but where it's a new design, it's just easier. This is not staying. It's just to confirm an idea moving forward, so that'll be changed up. Right here, this piece of tubing is not going to keep the bag back from the can, so I'm going to put a piece of UHMW riveted onto that tube across there to keep the bag forward off the can, and there's still enough distance there if I want to run a can up front another time I can. I got an idea to not use ratchet straps on these flat cans anymore. A buckle system. Probably won't have time for that before the weekend. Right here, I've been running carbides for a long time, but as always, buy a carbide, cut it off, weld studs on and stuff. I found these that are for CNA mini skis. Cut off behind the carbide one spot and keep the 3 studs, so I don't gotta weld anything on. It's less work. So I drilled out these metal tie downs and the stiffener piece. You can see I got a 1/2-inch stiffener piece here, so drill it all out so I can use the stock studs and get a socket on it down there, so that works good. Pretty pleased with that. Need another set for there, but none in stock, so I will have to weld up one set, but moving forward I can just use the CNA mini carbides. I never had the right length bolt here to use nylock nuts, so that's a different kind of a locking nut and red Loctite just to be careful. So anyway, I'm really pleased with that. That's good. And this is the same thing. If the bag is not here, that's my tent, by the way. It's the tent and the fire blanket for the floor and all the pegs and everything in that one bag, 30 odd pounds. If the tent is not there, one of those cans fits right there, so that's good. I'm trying to move away from rock straps on the sleighs. The rock straps are excellent on the snowmobile, but on the sleigh, the buckle freezes up. So just going with this, just because it's one clip, you can whack that with a rubber mallet, knock the ice off of it. This is just for fitment purposes. I realize that knot has to go. Double fisherman, I think, is the answer there. Figured that out this week. This is good. Now this is where all the questions are and where there's work left. I kind of had an idea for these small cans back here, and I was picturing some sort of a big like exoskeleton tubing something. I got back there and I started looking at what I had, and I found I had this piece scrap over under the table or over under the chop saw, and it just happens to be the perfect size. So I started putting it together, and I got afraid that I don't have enough structure there, so I'll take them off. See, I think that this in its current state will break. I'm afraid that there's too much cantilever back there and it's going to break those bolts. And when I was making it, I got ahead of myself and I put this bolt in just to keep that stuff there. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this spacer out, take that bolt out, take that bolt out, And I get a piece of 1x2 tubing, slide in there so it's tight, cut on an angle on the front, and it will, you can see it'll take up all that space there. It'll keep the can tight, and I'll be able to take in that bolt that's not in line with the tube and put some weld on top, and it'll tie that other bolt in and probably swap these two bolts out for 3/8 bolt down through here. So that'll take the cantilever force. And then here, this one here is just cantilevering off of that tube. So what I'm going to do is put some tubes across here, but we can't weld vertical. If we weld vertical on that or this, we're just going to crack. So at this scrap angle, you can see it's all cut up. I'm going to use angle clips, weld top and bottom horizontal on the tubing that's there. So I'll show you all that when it's done. Then lay this on. Get some more UHMW. I can bolt onto here with some riv nuts, have a slight edge with some holes in it for lashing stuff down. I'll probably only usually carry my dry bag with my sleeping bag and my sleeping pad and stuff in it, so it'll probably be 12 or 13 pounds back there on a really big trip. I'll put those on and I'll empty them ASAP, because I still think that 30-40 pounds of gas back there is too much for a long distance. See what I did here, this is just a 3/4x3 runner back, but on a 12-foot sleigh that I got all the space used on, that runner finishes right about here somewhere, and it doesn't do a good job. So I take two pieces of 3/8, one in first, finishes behind the last tube, and that makes this here transition really, really easy to make. A lot easier than trying to work with that. So that works out well, and you can see that this was already on the sheet when I cut up the other sleigh, and I just left it there, and it gave me room for everything I'm doing. So that's where we're to after 2 days. I got a couple of evenings this week to work on it and see where it gets us. Okay, so just another update on the progress. We had the bracket we're towing with the pintle hitch installed. So we normally tow off the pin on the tongue in the woods. When you get all crossed up and stuff, sometimes it's better to go to the pintle. So that just sits there, and the switch, you just pull the pin. It just flicks out of the way and bang, you can tow. This is a new addition. I got a tow point added here and this rope. So when you're really down and it's even hard to get the pintle lifted up and put on the snowmobile, I can unhook this carabiner, unwrap it, and just hook the rope to the pintle hitch on the snowmobile, and just use the carabiner here to help give it some lift. So you're not really towing off the carabiner, you're really towing off back there. Handle for twisting and trying to get it on and everything. So you get some proper straps here. Make a proper bungee cord, one piece, continuous loop to keep that bag on. I added the UHMW extension there. So I was afraid this bag was going to walk back over and get into the gas can. Straps are all cut. Back here, originally you see I had 2 gas cans here. I don't need to carry that much gas this trip. I just figuring what I need to do to convert to carry 1. And all I need to do is add a little spacer here so this strap stays on the gas can. So I'll probably put some threaded inserts in this tube so I can take that on and off as I need to over time for different uses. And you see I got a lot of aluminum added here. I'm still not convinced that it's a good idea to put 20 liters of gas back there and go around the world with it, but it'll definitely be strong enough to take this, put on there like that. I'm going to put some tie downs on the edge and along the back. I can put my sleeping bag and stuff there. And in a pinch, I can put 2 small cans there, I think. I won't be doing that right away. So next clip should be a finished sleigh, hopefully, before supper, because I have to use it tomorrow morning. So I got all excited, finished the sleigh, never took a video. Went riding. It was mostly a success. I'm going to go through a couple things that were a real success and then show you one major fail point. Hopefully we can all learn from it. To fix, I had to be another video. I moved on to other projects. Just kind of got to get pushed on the back burner for now. So let's just have a look. Okay, here we have it. All tipped up on the side, getting dried off. This handle right here, really good. Really good for hooking up and stuff. Best system I've had yet. The straps and those bars, really good for bags. So I had a duffel bag here, lightweight. And there was a parts bag that we carry, suspension parts and whatnot. It was just as heavy as a gas can. The bar, really convenient for just looping your bungee back and forth over. Not so good for gas cans. That's gonna need further revision for gas can, I got an idea. So I carried 2 cans there, 1 can there, and 1 can there. And with those 2 cans there, man, it tows hard. Holy cow. So empty 1 can, sleigh pole's good. 2 full cans, not so good. Some people say, well, just move your weight to the back. You move your weight to the back, you end up getting a lot of whipping and breaking a lot of stuff. So it's gonna take some practice in where to put the gas and what order to empty the cans in. We'll figure that out as we move on. These tie downs good. You see I got a spacer here. I ended up going with aluminum to move that gas can forward. But this rack that I finished, it looked promising, but major issue where the 10-foot runner is not long enough for the 12-foot sleigh. I got a join there, and with the join and only 1 bolt, and I don't know, there was probably 8 or 10 pounds back there, which isn't much, but just with the slapping, this bolt didn't last. It was all like spaghetti back there, and it was a disaster. So I'm gonna have to take all this off. Longer aluminum, more bolts. You got to be very careful not to get it too far forward, because if you create too much rigidity there, you'll end up breaking the runner. But I got one over on the table that got 5,000 or 6,000 kilometers on it with a join there, so it's going to be okay. I will figure it out. I just don't know if that rack is going to stay or not. Anyway, overall, 12 foot long, 18.5-inch wide, mini country sleigh, we'll call it. Mostly a success. One small issue, we'll work through it.